What's good, YouTube? In the last video, we established a terminology for this playlist. Now let's actually build and run something. In this video, we're going to Dockerize the .NET application and let it run in Kubernetes locally through Minikube. But first, a quick refresher. Why do we use containers in the first place? And as you see, I'm back with the painting again. At the top, you see the container repo. And the other two building blocks you see is the def/pipeline and target machine. So what happens is you would have your image of your application in a container repo. That can be Docker Hub, or it can be the Azure Container Registry, or something you host yourself. It doesn't really matter. What happens is you build your application either locally or within a pipeline, and then you push it into the repo. And from the repo, some target machine somewhere can pull that container. And this works the same with Docker as it works with Kubernetes. Now this is nice because it enables scalability, because you can just have multiple machines that all just pull from that repo once you need more machines. And on the other hand, you do not need to have some complicated security mechanisms in place to enable the push and deploy directly from the pipeline or for a local dev machine. You have a nice clean separation where you push into the repo and then you pull from the repo. And one more thing I like about that is that this repo works similarly to GitHub, meaning you would have different versions of your container or your image. And once you pull an image that breaks or is fraudulent, then you can just target another version of that image or another commit, so to speak, and you'll be good to go. So rolling back to a past version of that container with this model is extremely convenient. Now that being said, let's get our hands dirty and actually build the thing. So what we're doing right now is we're going to implement the first part of the picture, which is we're going to have an application locally and then push it into the container repo. In this case, this is Docker Hub, and we see it here. So this is my Docker Hub account, and Docker Hub allows you to have as many public repositories as you want. And we're going to use this so you can easily follow along with the tutorial. So I go back into my terminal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new .NET application, which is in this case a Blazor application. And I do this by .NET new Blazor, and I go by the name K8s demo. Then I'm going to cd into K8s demo. And now in order to enable this push right here, this got extremely easy over the last couple of years. All we have to do is, I'm going to open the oven here and go for the csproj file. And I'm going to have a new property group that has certain properties. And we start with container image tags, which is latest. Then we're going to choose a container repository, which is going to be Rambo, because that's my account on Docker Hub. And the name would be K8s demo, and the last key is the container registry. And since we want to push to Docker Hub, this is going to be Docker.io. This is all. Now, I want to publish that thing into the container repo. We want to see it listed in our Docker Hub, okay? And the way to do this, as I said, it got really easy in .NET, since the last couple of years anyways. And we do a .NET publish, and we do this on Linux. The architecture is x64, and we choose the target publish container, because that's what we want to do. And we want to have the release configuration here, okay? And now I think it's going to scream at me because I'm not logged in yet. Correct, we do not have a Docker config file, so let's fix that. And we do this by docker login, username Rambo, password my password. And now Docker login will log us in Docker Hub by default if we do not specify another repo. So we're going to use this. Login succeeded, and then try again to push. And you see build succeeded, and then when we go into the Docker Hub, hit refresh, and you see we have the K8s demo. And you see this is your typical Blazor app, right? You have a counter and you have a weather, etc., etc. So this part right here, done. Next part, pulling from the repo. So first we're going to install Minikube with pacman. So sudo pacman s, and then we have Minikube, and we have kubectl. So install those. And then we're going to do Minikube start. And it's doing some stuff here. And you see kubectl is now configured to use Minikube cluster and default namespace by default. We can test this by kubectl cluster info. And then you get the cluster info, Kubernetes control plane is running at etc, etc, etc. So that thing is running now. We can do further checks by kubectl get all. And then you see that all we have right now is just the cluster IP because we don't have any pods yet. We still need to pull the image to run our pods. And in order to do so, we're going to create a deployment YAML that then pulls from, where is it? Docker Hub, and more specifically, the K8s demo image that we just pushed. So let's create a deployment YAML. And in order to do so, I'll just go back to my NeoVim and create a new file, which is deployment YAML. And I just paste from the docu that I've written that you find in the description, paste that stuff, and I will go through that thing line by line so I understand exactly what this thing is doing. So first let me save this. You find the API version. So there's different API groups. You have apps and you have other stuff too. And you have, for example, when we define the service later, then you will find that we have the API version v1. This is because services and deployments live in different API groups. So just for the moment, this is the correct API version for the kind deployment, right? And the kind could be deployment. It could be even a replica set. Although, as I said in the previous video, you don't have to define replica sets. Deployment here, along with the replica specified, is totally enough. So the kind defines the Kubernetes object that we want to deploy. Then you have some metadata. This name right here will define how the pods are named that are going to be running later. Then this one is quite important, the annotations. When you see Kubernetes.io change calls, like this is something that serves a similar purpose like a git commit message, for example, right? You would, as you change this file over time, give the reason right here why you changed it. And later, if you find some deployments in your cluster that don't make sense, you can go and query for this change cause to find out what's happening. So just for the moment, the change cause is something like a git commit message. Next thing, we have the spec node. Inside the spec node, we specify the deployment. That's why you see we have one spec node here, and inside the spec node in line 11, we have another spec node where we actually define our pod, right? So when I go up, we say we're going to have 3 replicas, and this is going to create a replica set of 3. We have selectors that says this deployment manages all the pods that have the label app demo. Remember, a label is a key value pair. So now the labels for the pod are actually defined here in the template metadata node, so to speak, right? This is the actual pod's label. So you don't label containers, you label the pod, and you do this through the template metadata. And as you see, we have the app demo key here, and we also have the app.kubernetes.io/name label, which is a predefined key within Kubernetes. There are also other predefined keys, but this comes officially from Kubernetes, and those 2 here come from you. And the deployment through this, where's the selector? Through this selector, the deployment is going to look for this label. So now we come to stuff that you already know from Docker, I believe. So right, we have the container here. The container has a name, the container has an image, and this is the image that we have right here in the Docker Hub. And we have the latest tag, and this is what we find also. Where is it? This is the image tag right here, right? We defined this right here. And so this is nothing too unusual. The container is going to expose the port 80. And this is also stuff that you know from Docker already. And this should be enough to pull from the container repo and let it run on our target machine, which is our local machine right now. Now the way to get this going is we are going to just stop this one right here and then do a kubectl apply file, and we choose the deployment YAML, and this should then pull the image and start a container. And see how fast that was. When we go now and say kubectl get all, then you see we have our demo deployment right here. We have 3 pods because we have 3 replicas defined right here. What else do we have? We have the cluster IP, and usually your cluster IP is this one, like this exact IP address right here, 10.96.01. And we get the state of the overall deployment, so that looks fine. The problem is, of course, when I choose this one, I can't browse this one. It doesn't do anything. In order to be able to browse those pods right here, we have to create a service. Remember, service is a public networking endpoint that routes traffic to the pods. So this is what we're going to create next. And again, I'm going to go into my NeoVim. I'm going to go into deployment.yaml, go to the bottom. I am at the bottom. And then I really just paste from the article that you find in the description. And as I mentioned before, we have a different API version here. For the service, for the kind service, the correct API version is v1. And the rest has a pretty similar structure. So again, the selector here, right? We have a selector for the deployment, and we have a selector for the service. And as I said, the service routes HTTP traffic through the label. So the selector is looking for app.kubernetes.io. The service could also have the exact same selector as the deployment. But in this case, just to demonstrate how it works, we choose a different one, just to show this also works. So the rest is pretty straightforward. The ports have a name, the protocol is TCP. The port that we need to browse when we want to address this service endpoint right here is 8080. And the target port is port 80, which we find defined right here, right? The container port is the correct target port, and we want to have the type LoadBalancer, meaning this service endpoint distributes HTTP traffic across those 3 pods here, okay? So now the beautiful thing is, once I save this, I can just apply the deployment YAML again. Of course, I have to do this in the correct directory. Boom. And then I check again, and then we see we have a service endpoint of the type LoadBalancer, and the external IP is pending. Now, this can take a minute or 2 until this is established. But in this case, it's going to take longer. I tell you why. When I go for the Minikube documentation, then we find somewhere using Minikube, there we go, using Minikube service with tunnel. That says running Minikube on Linux with the Docker driver will result in no tunnel being created. So we will have this pending thing here forever. As you see, it's still pending. After 38 seconds, it's still pending. So this will not change until we do something. And the way to solve this locally with Minikube, again, this is a local Minikube thing. This will not happen in production environments. The way to solve this is open a new terminal window and I say Minikube tunnel. It's taking some seconds. And there we go. We have the actual tunnel. And if I now check again, you see we have an external IP address that was pending before. Now you see you have the load balancer, LB service is the name we gave that thing, and we have external IP address, etc. Beautiful. And just for record, you don't have to get all and just fish through the terminal all the time. You can also do kubectl get svc for the service, or you can get pod for the pod, etc. You can be more specific with what details you want to have. So again, I do get svc, and then I copy this. I think I even have it in my clipboard already, doesn't matter. So go back, oopsies, and then paste this IP address here. Of course, it's not doing anything because you don't have the right port, and the right port is 8080, right? I go back, do 8080, and there we go. This right here is a Kubernetes service pointing to our 3 pods right here. Load balancing between our 3 pods. So let's recap for a second. We created a .NET application, pushed the image of the application to Docker Hub via .NET Publish, created a Kubernetes deployment that pulls that image of this application from Docker Hub and runs it locally on the Minikube cluster, and what receives the access to this cluster through the service, through this IP address. So that looks good, and that would be technically enough to ship the exact same thing into the cloud. But there's one important thing about the nature of Kubernetes that we didn't really look into yet, which is the concept of the desired state of the deployment and the challenges that come with it. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about in the next video. See you in the next one.